How does a base jumping parachute differ from a skydiving parachute? If you're curious about the differences between base jumping and skydiving parachutes, you're in the right place. Let's break it down to understand what makes these parachutes unique. First off, the equipment itself is quite different. In skydiving, you have a rig with two parachutes, a main parachute and a reserve parachute. This reserve parachute is a backup that deploys automatically if the main parachute isn't deployed in time. This system is heavily regulated by the Federal Aviation Administration, FAA, and requires regular maintenance by certified riggers every 180 days. In contrast, base jumping uses a single parachute system. Since base jumps are from much lower altitudes, there's not enough time to deploy a reserve parachute if the main one fails. This simplicity in design makes base jumping gear mechanically less complicated and reduces the risk of malfunctions. Another key difference is the size and design of the parachutes. Base jumping parachutes are larger than those used in skydiving and have a lower wing loading, typically around 3.4 kilograms quarter, 0.7 pounds per square feet. This larger size and lower wing loading are necessary because base jumps often involve slower airspeeds and require quicker deployment and control at lower altitudes. Base parachutes also feature specific innovations like vents, which are crucial for their functionality. For example, the Outlaw base canopy has 5 mini vents at the A-chord line, rear chord float flaps, and a center cell slat system. These features help in technical landing areas and provide more control over the parachute's behavior. The deployment mechanism is another area where they differ. In skydiving, parachutes deploy at higher altitudes, allowing for a more gradual and controlled descent. For base jumps, especially from lower altitudes, the slider is often removed to enable faster parachute opening. This is because base jumpers need the parachute to deploy quickly to avoid hitting the ground or obstacles. The materials and construction of base parachutes are also tailored for their specific use. For instance, the Hayduke 2 base parachute uses laser-cut cross ports to improve inflation during low freefall and slider-off applications. This design reduces pack volume and canopy weight, making it more efficient for base jumping. Lastly, the landing areas for these two types of jumps are vastly different. Skydivers typically land in open, well-maintained areas free from debris. Base jumpers, however, often land in more challenging and less ideal areas such as rocky surfaces, streets, or other natural settings, which requires a high level of skill and precision. In summary, the differences between base jumping and skydiving parachutes are rooted in their design, size, deployment mechanisms, and the specific needs of each type of jump. These differences are what make each parachute suited to its unique environment and requirements.